Greetings, fellow relighting candles. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile, too.
And welcome to another creepy episode of Tiki's Universe. That's right, it's the show where we react, respond, and review all things animation, all things current animation, including Milo Murphy's Law, Steven Universe, and this show right here, Jacob, Star vs. Force of Evil, which, Jacob, they pulled a Steven Universe on us. They pulled a Steven Universe with this episode because Steven Universe is absolutely notorious for when they have an episode title that sounds super dramatic, like, say, Rising Tides, Crashing Skies, it'll just end up being like a literal filler joke of an episode. And then when they have an episode that just sounds super silly, like, let's say, Super Watermelon Island, it'll be the episode where shit goes down, son. So I feel like this is very much the case with Bon Bon the Birthday Clown. So we do get Bon Bon, voiced by a very special guest appearance by Tom Kenny. I was really excited to hear his voice on the show. And I even messaged you on Facebook as soon as I started watching. I was like, that's Tom Kenny, isn't it?
Yep, that's him.
But Jacob, of course, the whole Bon Bon plot is merely just like the frame on which to hang all the really cool character development stuff, as well as the single biggest cliffhanger in the history of the show, I would wager to say.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So should we just talk? Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead first.
Okay. Should we just talk about the cliffhanger right off the bat? Because I feel like if we didn't, it'd kind of be burying the lead a little bit.
Okay, probably.
Okay, so you know what really upset me about this cliffhanger, Jacob? I mean, obviously we knew that at some point Ludo was going to get the book, and that was going to be a thing. Because, you know, that's part of the plot. That's part of Ludo's plan and everything.
Which I called, by the way.
Of course. You know what really upset me about the cliffhanger? Like, not in like an, oh, I'm so pissed at the show, but more in kind of like, why'd you do that? They cut away right before Glosseric reacts to seeing Ludo. It's
it just ends with Ludo saying, "I am not a milady."
And I'm just like, no, I wanted to see Glosseric's reaction. No, damn you, Disney.
That just makes it all the more creepy.
Jacob, I tell you, that is the single worst part of the cliffhanger, is the fact that they cut away right before we see Glosseric get to react to the situation he's in.
It's both it's both the worst and the best part.
Definitely.
It's definitely, you have to admit, would it have been as effective as an ending if you would have seen his reaction? Depending on the reaction, of course.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely an artistic choice on their end for dramatic purposes, and I think it did work. As much as I wanted to see Glosseric's reaction, Jacob, I think it worked specifically for the reason of that cutting right at that moment. Definitely amplifies the drama and amplifies like, oh shit, no, now it's in a cliffhanger mode. Oh god, you know, like now that's a real cliffhanger.
And can we just talk about Ludo in this episode?
Yes, Ludo is amazing, and he's just like become.
I mean, it shows how skilled he's become in just a short amount of time.
He is.
I mean, he was able to go toe to toe with Star. Like, he even had Star. You could exactly say he beat Star in this episode.
I would say, I'd say he definitely beat Star in this.
I mean, this is from the guy that was like the whiny crybaby in the first season.
Who was honestly kind of like one of the elements of season 1 that I didn't particularly care for that much, because as much as I like Alan Tudyk as a voice actor, and I can't wait to see him in Moana tonight, doing chicken noises. But you know, yeah, season 2 Ludo is an amazing improvement on the character we had in season 1. It's incredible how they managed to turn this character around. Not that he was a bad character. I wouldn't say he was a bad character in season 1, but he definitely was among probably the most repetitive characters, if that's fair to say. Like, he's like the stereotypical Saturday morning cartoon villain where he's like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do something slightly different this time. Yeah, right. He was essentially like the Team Rocket of the show for season 1.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind repetitive plot points. Like I said, for example, Phineas and Ferb, one of my favorite shows, relied heavily on recurring gags. But the thing is, they kept it interesting and fresh every time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this was just like, I'm going to try something slightly different to get Star's wand.
But let's just give credit where credit's due, because season 2 Ludo is an amazing villain. Like, I legitimately think what they've done with Ludo in season 2 puts him up there with the ranks of Bill Cipher and Gideon Graves. Or, I'm sorry, not Gideon Graves. Gideon Giggles is his last name.
In what?
In Gravity Falls. What's Gideon's last name?
Gleeful?
Gleeful. Thank you. Gideon Graves is an entirely different character. No, Gideon and
Bill.
Yeah, Gideon and Bill. Thank you. I'm screwing this whole up. Gideon and Bill are definitely among the more memorable and intimidating villains that have come out of a Disney show, and I think Ludo's right up there with them at this point.
He's definitely edging his way.
Yeah, for sure.
And all thanks to Alan Tudyk's convincing voice work of the character. Like, you can feel the conviction in his character. Like, he's more determined than he ever was.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely helps. I also think what helps is kind of like the design of him has changed, like the beard and everything definitely adds to the intimidation factor for sure. And just the writing on him has been very consistent as well. The fact that he has the spider and the eagle, and the eagle doing his bidding, and the rats, man, the rats are becoming pretty damn scary, I think.
Yeah, they kept Jana at bay.
Yeah. So we can maybe circle back around to Ludo a little bit more, but I think really at the end of the day, in spite of this having an amazing cliffhanger and maybe the most effective Ludo's ever been in the series in terms of taking down Star, I think at the end of the day, where this episode really shines is the character development department. And I really think going forward, we have an incredibly solid foundation for the 5 main characters on the show, which would be Star, Marco, Jackie, Jana, and I guess that's it. I guess the 4 main characters on the show.
Well, I think Jana and Jackie are more recurring, but they're becoming more main characters.
Well, what I'm trying to say, Jacob, with this that I'm getting all fumbled up because it's me, is, I really do think this episode did a good job of cementing Jackie and Jana as part of the main players in the series.
It seems that way. I mean, Star was willing to leave what Margot was doing to go with Jana to do this.
And I mean, as much as we talk about improvements for Ludo from season 1 to season 2, I think they're doing arguably even a better job with making me really like Jana. Because in season 1, I think she was actually more of a problem character than Ludo was. Ludo was repetitive, but I thought Jana was genuinely off-putting in season 1. Like, she was probably one of the characters that I didn't really gel with at all. Whereas with season 2, they just did such a good job, and it's such a natural progression that Star and Jana become better friends than, and Jana kind of occupies her time more than Star than with Marco, and not in a creepy, like, obsessive way over Star. They just both genuinely really enjoy each other's company. I love Star's pet name for Jana, Jana Banana.
Yeah. What about the whole shower scene?
Oh, God. Well, I mean, like, I feel like that's a fun callback to how Jana used to be in season 1. And now it's like she doesn't even care about the fact that Marco's, like, in a towel and everything. She's literally just with Star getting supplies. It's, like, not even a thought to her. So,
yeah, but it's still a strange scene, though.
It is, yeah. But like I said, I think that's the point of the scene is kind of, she's in a same situation that she would have been in season 1, but her character's progressed a lot to where, yeah, she's just hanging out with Star. So
the radar must have been asleep on that one.
Okay, I'm liking Jackie quite a bit more than I have been in the past as well. I think they've been doing a good job. This is more recent than with Jana. I think Jana's been pretty much developed throughout most of season 2, but Jackie has been really starting to come into the highlight in the last couple episodes. Like they're definitely kind of building an arc with her, and I mean, I'd say it's fair to say this is easily the most interesting and likable that Jackie's been in the course of the series so far is this episode, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that she's been bad before, she's just been maybe a little bland.
Well, yeah, no, that I agree with.
But and I still don't think, I think out of the 4 main characters that we have in this episode, she's still like the least developed and has like the least personality traits. I still think they're doing a good job of making up for it. I like that. I really do think that her dynamic with Marco, I really buy into it. I really believe it. I really believe that she finds Marco charming simply for the fact that he doesn't see what's so good about himself when it's like right in front of him. And he's like so close to being like such a good guy, but the one thing standing in the way is himself. And I don't know, I just find all her dynamics with him really endearing, really charming, really believable. I like that she's the one who's kind of taking charge of this relationship. She's the one that genuinely asks him out on the date, and she even apologizes for asking him to the dance. And by the way, what a pathetic school dance, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, we literally have the basketball team shooting hoops in one side of the gym, and then there's just like a bunch of people standing around awkwardly. And then Brad and Tammy are I have no idea how I remember those names, but Brad and Tammy are the only ones that are actually having a good time. And then the teacher has to go and, say something about like, no, respect.
Like leave some room for misdecency.
Right. Even though they're just casually dancing together. So
it's not like they're doing anything objectionable. I will agree with you on the whole dynamic between Margot and Jackie. It does feel, kind of like a genuine progression.
Yeah, right. And I don't think it's quite as well developed as something like Wendy and Dipper was in Gravity Falls. But that's because I feel like they're kind of making up for lost time a little bit. And I feel like they're really wanting to develop Jackie into an actual character instead of just like a plot device, which, again, comparing season 1 to season 2, I think it's fair to say at this point, even though you and I both really like season 2 a lot, or else we wouldn't have started the vlog or we like season 1 a lot, or else we wouldn't have started the vlog for season 2 to begin with. But I think it's fair to say that season 2 is improving on almost everything that season 1 kind of fell short on. Like Jackie Lynn Thomas kind of just being this really vague love interest who didn't have much of a personality in season 1. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
So good job on that. I also like seeing the Diazes in this episode.
Stop! Take a picture of my head sometime.
Also, I just got to give it props for the character design department. I really love the look of Marco and Jackie in this episode. I love Jackie's like kind of like aquatic themed dress and Marco in the tuxedo. It's like they have a really nice look. You know what I mean?
Marco cleans up good.
He does, man. He's very, he's quite handsome when he's all dressed up like that.
And obviously Star notices.
Yeah, okay, so good transition here. This might honestly be perhaps my least favorite part of the episode is the Star stuff with kind of pining over Marco, just because I honestly feel like I wish they would have done a better job setting it up beforehand.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. What do you think? Like on one hand, I think maybe it's
the way I think it's presented like more of a sudden realization. It's like she like suddenly realizes something. like like she said, things change.
Like maybe she didn't mind him pining over Jackie or even him going to the dance with Jackie because she didn't realize it was a possibility that him and Jackie would actually hit it off so well and could actually have the potential to be a long-term couple. Maybe like she just didn't take him seriously enough for that.
Or maybe it's like she didn't consider her own feelings in that regard.
That could be. Right. Like I said, I wish there was a little bit more setup to it. Like maybe have it set up a little bit in the episode beforehand, which also revolves around Jackie, because if I remember correctly, we didn't even get a twinge of jealousy there.
Well, like I said, she also didn't see him in a tuxedo.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very fair argument, because Marco in a tuxedo is very handsome. So,
like we said, that definitely got Star's attention. And then when she saw them so happy together, she's like, like maybe something triggered, and like maybe she like realized her jealousy, and her jealousy is actually what plays into the events at the end.
Yeah,
some
definitely.
events, some events in the end. Like for example, she uses a forbidden spell to spy on them,
I like how
and
they
how it all.
animate Glosser as being barely awake.
And he like flipping through the book.
Yeah, he's like floating through the pages as she's flipping through it.
Yeah.
No
Queen
star.
we got a name drop from Queen Celestia again. Yeah.
What?
So we got a name drop from Queen Celestia again.
Yeah,
I
very true.
have a feeling that since they're name dropping her so much, especially in these last few episodes, I mean, I think she's going to be like a major important part in the Butterfly's history.
Sure, and I definitely think we're going to see more of the Butterfly history, considering how directly Ludo is targeting the Butterfly family.
And not to mention Toffee's history with them too.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
You know, considering Star's mother, you know, basically severed his finger.
Also, Jacob, I want to point out one quick thing. It doesn't have to do with the episode, but I just completely realized it, and I feel like a kind of an idiot now for not realizing it before. I still think Spider with the Top Hat was kind of a weak episode, but you do realize, and this is something I just noticed, like watching the end credit sequence again, you realize that all those creatures that she's walking around with in the end credit sequence are the creatures that we see, like the spells from Spider with the Top Hat, including the title Spider with the Top Hat.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Okay, that's something I completely like glossed over. We never mentioned it when we talked about that episode, or I don't know if you mentioned it or not. If you did,
I don't think I did. Yeah.
I still don't think it's I still don't think that episode's a very good episode, but I will like the one thing to take away from that end credit scene is at least they have the creatures in that episode somewhat set up. So
yeah.
It's like if they made an episode after the disco bug or something like that. You know, it's like at least we've seen him at this point. Or, you know, an example for Milo Murphy's Law, if they had an episode showcasing the llama incident.
I'm sure they're building up to that.
I'm sure, yeah. Like it's a big dramatic flashback.
When you notice the Blood Moon actually made an appearance, not the ball, but the Blood Moon.
I did, yeah, and it was a good kind of trigger for the plot with Marco noticing it and coming to Star and everything.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, does it actually have to tie with Queen Celestia? Because remember, Celestia relates to the moon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering, does all that tie together, or is it just speculation and conjecture?
Not to mention, of course, Star's mother's name is literally Moon, so...
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's see.
But the thing I found most interesting is like I wonder if this is like what tied into earlier episodes, earlier Queens, like jealousy. Like if you notice, like Star's like when Star used the forbidden spell to spy on Jackie and Marco doing their skateboard, she saw what a good time they're having and got jealous, basically blew out a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
But when she realized what she was doing, she was scared.
Right.
So what do you think that means?
I mean, I definitely think it's a good bit of character. It's a little bit of foreshadowing for sure. I think maybe her emotions are getting the better of her in spite of her best interest to control them.
Her jealousy. Like I wonder if that could be what ties it. Maybe that's what happened with Celestia. Jealousy. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, like, who knows what'll happen? I mean, she basically made them crash because of her jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, they weren't hurt or anything. And obviously, when she realized what she'd done, she was horrified. But it's quite an interesting scene. I mean, like, not a lot of it's not really brought up again.
No, but like I said, I definitely think if anything else, it's probably a good bit of foreshadowing for maybe some heavier stuff to come. Like maybe she'll seriously injure Marco at some point thanks to the jealousy, like indirectly, of course, but with the with a spell. I don't know, it'll be interesting.
And notice I was kind of focused on the wand itself when that happened too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, do you think the wand might maybe like take control of her or something?
Like it's very possible. It's very possible.
Like the wand itself might be alive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I mean. Like it was talking to Ludo,
Yeah.
so it might not be out of the question that it's also talking to Star.
Yeah.
Okay, you see what?
I
I don't know.
I see where you're going with that. I think we're kind of going around in circles a little bit with it, but
I'm sorry. Let's move on then. What else? What other points would you like to bring up?
I really like I said, going back to one of my earlier points, I like how much the group of four had each other's backs in this episode. And I thought that was showcased really well when they were all helping Star escape from that dark portal to God knows where. I swear to God, Jacob, I was on the edge of my seat. Like, I really, really, really did not want this episode to end with a cliffhanger of Star being lost in another dimension. I was like, okay, like,
that would have been the predictable route to take.
like, you know, like having Ludo have the book is one thing, but having Star be in another dimension and then Marco not knowing where she is, like, oh my God, that's like, oh shit, so many things are on the table now.
She's just stuck in another dimension. She could easily just get out with her scissors.
Okay, that's a good point. But then again, we don't know the nature of the dimension because Ludo was hyping it up of, you know, like
not again.
Right. So...
Well, remember, it's also the first spell that the spell that she used on Marco's room, the Mystic Room Suck transformed.
Mm-hmm.
Call back to the first episode.
But yeah, like I said, I just genuinely really like the fact that these four characters that were showcased in this episode, you know, it's like, of course, Star and Marco have always been the constant in the series, but
they all came together to save Star when she needed him most.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that Jackie and Jana are at this point, and I think they did a good job of establishing like Jana getting closer and closer to Star after the first episode where her and Star kind of became friends. I think it's going to be at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jackie and Jana kind of upgraded to more series regular status, kind of like more of the stories taking place around these four hanging out and doing things with each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they all seem to know each other quite well, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Yeah, and I definitely think outside of all the big cliffhangery stuff and Ludo stuff, that I think is my big takeaway from the episode is this gave us a really, really solid foundation to go off of how the character dynamics are going to feel in the show moving forward.
Yeah. And that ending, though. I am not a milady.
God damn it, we don't get to see Glossric's reaction.
It's both funny and disturbing at the same time.
Yep.
Like I said, props to Alan Tudyk for his voice work.
All right, Jacob, I have kind of run out of stuff to say about this episode, and I know you need to be get going for Moana soon anyway, so do you have anything else you want to bring up?
It's very solid character development on everything. I mean, very solid, like I said, on top of everything, good character development. We actually get to see Bon Bon return as a ghost and only be sucked up by Star.
Even though somehow he was kind of an afterthought of the episode anyways, even though he did appear.
Yeah. And it's not like the episode's named after him or anything.
Right. Like I said, Steven Universe, Super Watermelon Island, ridiculous titles are, you know, the most serious episodes.
Well, so I'd like to see how this goes. With Ludo with the book, who knows what'll happen? I mean, the world is, pretty much, this would be called a turning point for this series, it seems.
I would absolutely call this episode a turning point. That's why I like it so much, for sure. So...
Ludo now has the wand. He's getting better with it. Now he has the book. He can now focus his skills. And Stars without the book and without Glossric.
Yeah. Oh, Jacob, I'm sorry. One last thing we absolutely need to mention, and then we'll sign off. But one of my favorite character bits with Star throughout the course of the series so far is how emotional she got over the fact that she lost Glossric.
Oh, yeah.
That, like, I'm literally getting goosebumps talking about it right now. That was a beautiful piece of character animation on her part. Oh, man.
And compounded with the fact that she's losing her best friend, it seems. Star's just going through a lot right now.
Right. So I think that breakdown from her at the end of the episode was, like I said, it's probably one of my favorite moments from Star throughout the course of the series.
And it's not one of her funny moments, not her crazy moments, a genuine sad moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Okay.
this episode doesn't end with a joke or anything like that. It ends on a major cliffhanger. Characters have changed. Characters have developed. Things will never be the same.
Just like Cars 3.
Oh, geez.
All right, on that note, folks, unfortunately, we don't know when the next episode of either Star vs. Force of Evil or Milo Murphy's Law will be. Me and Dragon will be back with a Steven Universe reaction for Steven's First Winter or whatever. Three Gems and a Baby is the name of the episode. It's going to be a flashback to Steven's First Winter. In the Steven Universe episode, that'll be the first week of December, so look out for that. In the meantime, until Star vs. Force of Evil resurfaces and relieves us all of this horrible, horrible, nagging cliffhanger that they've left us on, stay weird and stay wild. Oh, Star, what are you doing with this page? Are you going to use the spell for anything? Or can I burn it?